let's discuss, how do you deal with your child's emotions when they are missing their father? They may be missing the life that they've had to walk away from with you. Your children may be quite young, they might be a lot older. But there's quite a few things that are going to be in play. One is, let's start off with the most important one, which is your feelings and your hurt, your disappointment. Um, and I think for a lot of women, it's heartbreak coming out of a marriage, um, and realizing it's not the forever, it's not the ever after that you first walked into that marriage with, and that sadly things have not worked out. So now you're at a situation where you still have to be mature enough to speak to your child's father, manage parenting, trying your best to create an equal setting where the child's father still has a say in the child's life, as rightly he should. Um, but then to manage your emotions through that, to manage your children's emotion, your child or children, depending on how many children you have. It's no easy task. But I'm here to tell you, and I can say this with full conviction, that you were only put on the path of co parenting, and that became your journey here on earth because Allah Almighty knows that you are somebody that can manage co parenting. It doesn't have to be perfect, you don't have to be best friends with your spouse or your ex. Um, you just need to be true and authentic to yourself and to your children. And there's a certain extent where you have to have maturity with your ex. And so it's never easy trying to manage all those feelings. So the first thing I would definitely say is you've got to validate yourself. It's okay for you to feel heartbroken. It is okay for you to feel the pain that him or his family or the people around in that situation that contributed towards the divorce, or even mistakes made by yourself. It's okay that those things happened. It's happened now. Divorce has happened. You've moved on. The pain is there. That pain is okay. It's going to be the driving force that you're going to need to realize the life that you now need to live, and the dreams and aspirations that you might have once forgotten that you can now go and aspire to. But in the meantime, it is okay for you not to like your child's father, but it is not okay for you to put that on your children. And that's something that has to be done. And so, if you are somebody who is making excuses to why the child cannot have a relationship with their father, or you're micromanaging it, or you're trying to control it without a valid reason, you've got to really sit back and think to yourself, why am I doing this? Why am I putting my children through a situation where I am putting my own feelings on them? And you need to recognize, and so this is what happened with me, was very quickly as a mother, I love my children. So I knew that I can't put my pain and my hurt on my child. I just couldn't do it. It's that's not for my child to hold. That's my feelings. My child is a separate entity and a manner. So, and this is how what my mindset is I'm going to stand in front of the court of Allah Almighty one day, and Allah Almighty is going to look at my book of deeds, and I will be ashamed if I stood in front of Allah and I had manipulated my children, or if I had said something to my children that made them feel negative towards their father. So my responsibility is to make sure that yes, my feelings are valid, but my child is not the person that I express my pain to. That pain, the hurt, has to be expressed to someone else. It's got to be expressed to a friend, a sister, your mother, people that care about you, and trust me, there'll be lows. You know, in your family and your friends who know you've gone through a divorce, people step up. You will have the friends and family that you need that will listen to your pain. And Allah will always give those people to you. Your child is not that place. Your child is a separate human being who is 50% their father, 50% you. And so you have to honor the 50% that is you. You also need to honor the 50% that is his father or her father. And so that's a responsibility that comes on you. And one of the things that I've realized with being a mother for nearly a decade is that it is such a big responsibility you hold, because your happiness is your child's happiness. Your sadness is your child's sadness. Your child, each week, I think as mothers, we can all recognize that your children feed off your energy. If you're an anxious mother, you're going to have anxious children. If you're a happy mother or if you're relaxed, your children are also going to be in that same state. And that's why they always say the mothers, that support for mother is so important. And 100% it should be. But there's a very important work that needs to be done within yourself to become healed. And what do I mean by that? To overcome the pain and take your time. No one's telling you that you need to heal. And actually, people like to give unsolicited advice sometimes, actually. And I'm sure many of us have been through that. But you need to take your time in terms of how you feel, recognize that pain, validate it, but then become secure in yourself as a woman. Be very sure of yourself. And you are only going to be sure of yourself when you start making decisions for yourself. So if you've come out of a marriage and you are now starting to hand over the responsibility of decision making to other people, whether it's family members, whether it's friends, you're going to be in a situation where you are not going to be able to be secure within yourself. You only become secure within yourself making decisions, whether they're right or wrong, it doesn't matter. The fact that you made a decision is what's going to really create an environment where you are sure of yourself. Once you are sure of yourself, your children are going to feed off that. So it's okay, depending on the age of the child. If the children already have an established relationship with their father, then your conversation is going to look a little bit different. If their relationship is not established with their father, then your first point of call, mum, is to make sure that their relationship with their father is established. So you've got to speak positively about dad, even if you don't feel it. It's got to be done. You've got to make them look forward to the day they're going to be visiting dad or staying with him. You've got to listen to their stories about dad, which is not easy. When they're coming home and telling you stories, if you're still in your pain, it can be very difficult to hear certain names and certain people that might have hurt you. And it triggers you. And I'll have a separate video about how to handle triggers. But if there was one solid advice I can give today, is when your child is expressing themselves, allow them to speak, allow them to say all the emotions. What you're doing is you're creating a safe space and inviting them to express themselves. When they feel that, not only will they feel loved, but they will love you even more. So the fear that you may have, and we can speak about that in a separate topic as well, in a separate video, the fear that you might have in terms of, oh, well, now they're going to go and love dad. You can definitely put yourself in a situation now where you recognize that your child will always be your child. You were their mother. You will always be connected to them biologically, emotionally, in every sense, because Allah gave that child to you. They're your flesh and blood. But you don't own your child. And that's where the separation has to happen. So you have a connection, but there's a separation. They are their own entity. So they have to be allowed to have their own emotions, their own feelings, their own relationships. And you have to recognize and really have to accept that your child is going to have relationships that don't include you. Just like, for example, when your child goes to school and they have friendships with their friends at school. But you're not going to be friends with their friends and be like, oh, I need to also be friends with the 5 years old or the 10 years old that they've made friends with at school, because you know that that's a separate relationship. You're not going to get involved. You watch your child create new relationships. You're not involved in those relationships, but you get to on a sideline get to enjoy and watch your child build these relationships. So in the same way, all you're doing is you're taking a step back. You are not part of the relationship with their father anymore, but you take a step back, but you encourage it, you let them enjoy it, and you let give them what they need while also honoring the pain, the grief, and working through that. So it's totally fine for you to listen to something your child said and it's triggered you, and that's fine. And then all you need to do is call someone that you trust and you love, and get it all out your system, cry it out, whatever it is you need to do. But that pain should not go on your child. Your child doesn't deserve to hold that. If the relationship with the father is already established, and your children are of an age where you have these conversations and open discussions, then it's okay for you to not say too much negativity, because obviously that naturally will affect the child, but to kind of let the child know that that's not easy for you, and that that's painful, and that you require some space. And you will recognize how beautifully your child will be so caring and understanding with that. And if the child is reacting, or if you find that your child's reacting and they're really going out their way to, um, they're quite affected by what you've said, and that's okay too. Just take time. Everyone's hurting. Just need time to breathe. Maybe the way you said it at that time wasn't the right way. Maybe they were not in a position, they may be been too tired, or the conversation was too heavy. Just try again another time when you know there's a moment, a teaching moment here. But you've got to have honest conversations with your children. Um, so yeah, I am Aisha. I am a co-parenting coach, and I help mothers like you to work through the co-parenting relationship post divorce, and I support women and help them recognize that there is life after divorce, and it does not define you.